Hello, and welcome to another episode of eBay Scavengers. This is episode number 103 on ebayscavengers.com. Today, Jay and I are speaking to Ryan Grant, and he created Online Selling Experiment, which is a blog about making a full-time income selling online, which is a lot like what we do, only he does it on Amazon. So we are always curious about how people make a living through Amazon, so we are excited to talk to him today.
All right, so today we're talking to Ryan Grant from OnlineSellingExperiment.com. I'm really excited to talk to you today because we found out about you from one of our listeners, because I have been obsessed with people selling on Amazon FBA and especially doing retail arbitrage. Our site is kind of based on eBay. It's about people finding it's one-of-a-kind items and selling on eBay, because that's what we do. And then I found out there's this whole other world with so much energy and so much stuff happening. I don't quite understand how the numbers work out. So someone sent me to your site, and it's so awesome because you're very open with its numbers, which I think is really important. And if anyone hasn't been to your site, I really suggest it, especially since you're still relatively new. I could read your whole blog pretty quickly because it just started in October. I was just thinking maybe you just start off by telling people that don't know yet how you started that blog and selling online.
Sure, and thanks for having me on the podcast today. I guess I've been selling online in some capacity since I was about 18, and I'm now 25, but it was really only on a very part-time basis up until September of 2013. I had been working a full-time job at an accounting firm in downtown Minneapolis for about a year and a half, and decided that wasn't really what I wanted to do with my life. So I decided to try selling online full-time. So I began selling online full-time right around the end of September, and then I started this blog right around the beginning of November, I believe. And then on the blog, I share basically all my financial results from the first month, where I made just a little over $2,000 profit, and now a little bit higher than that. But basically my goal with the blog is to share the story of kind of showing a different path for people than just working a normal full-time career.
Now, a couple things before we kind of get into its process, because that's mainly what we do on these interviews, is just help other sellers kind of learn from other people how they do it. You're just doing the blog just to kind of share your experience of selling online?
Yeah, for now it's basically just to share some experiences, share some tips. Right now I'm really not making any money off of it. There might be a plan for a book or something in the future, but sure. For now it's just put it out there and
yeah. I mean, look, I'm the most super skeptical guy, and I was really kind of happy to find your blog, because I just find a lot of these blogs, it's just you go on there and suddenly they're trying to sell me all these things, and hey, I don't blame anyone trying to make a living, but I then start to question, like, are they really making money being sellers, or are they just selling stuff
to other people?
To other people. So,
exactly.
And they're throwing around such huge numbers without any breakdown of how to back it up. So
yeah, exactly. So that's kind of why I try to show the whole picture, and hopefully it helps people.
Okay, so number one, buying inventory. It seems like the past couple months, you've been focusing on Amazon FBA. Explain to especially us eBayers, how are you buying this inventory?
Sure. So I'm buying it, probably 95% of my inventory is from retail stores. Mm-hmm. And I guess the best tool that I use is basically a scanning app on your smartphone. And you use this app to scan items within the store. And then the current, So then the current pricing information on Amazon is displayed, and basically the information that you need to make a decision of if you should purchase the item to resell or leave it on the shelf.
And it's one of those apps, as we've talked about, is
Profit Bandit. That's what we've been using.
Yep. So Profit Bandit is a $15 app, and they actually just switched to you have to have a Pro Merchant account now to use that, which is $39.99 a month.
Whoa.
And then that's through Amazon. But then that fee, it removes $1 per item fee when you sell an item, so it kind of balances out if you're selling enough items.
Got it. Okay, so this is so much different from what we do, and that's going to thrift stores and estate sales and buying old objects and stuff. So you're walking around with a TJ Maxx? I mean, give me an idea of how that works.
Pretty much any store I go into now, I look at it as a possible sourcing opportunity. So I TJ Maxx I've been to. So if I go in there, I would go to first their clearance section and start looking up the items there. When I was first getting started, I would literally scan just about every item in these stores, at least in the clearance sections, to get a good idea of what's selling. Now I have a little bit better idea, so I don't have to scan everything. But when you're just getting started, I would scan a bunch, and you'll find some surprises in there.
So when you're in those stores, I mean, are you really open about scanning it, or are you like trying to do it on the down low?
I'm pretty open about it. I like to say that nobody cares more about what you're doing than you. So oftentimes people will think you work there, or they'll ask you where to something.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so you have to explain that, sorry, I just have a cart full of stuff because, I don't know.
They're like, where's the rice? Is it on aisle 5? And you tell me?
Yes, well, some stores you know well enough to, it's an aisle 5 on the left.
You can actually tell them. That's funny.
Yeah, so.
And so people who haven't read at your blog, it seems like right now a lot of what you sell on Amazon is food and toys. Is that correct?
Yeah, those are my top 2 categories right now.
Are you going into a store and knowing they have something, or it's just a blank slate and you're just trying to find that item to buy?
It's somewhere in between. Right away, it was a completely blank slate, and I was just going in looking for anything I could possibly buy. Now I have a decent idea of certain types of products that sell, so I go in looking for those specific products, but I always try to scan new things. So some of the items I sell are available to anyone, so I have to constantly be finding new sources to make sure I keep making money.
With, eBay selling one-of-a-kind items, there's just a lot of work because, you're finding this thing, you got to clean it and list it. It's a one-time item, so as soon as it's sold, you got to put something else up. The cool thing about what you guys do is, I guess, you're buying like 20 of something or 100 of something, so it's quantity.
I'm normally not buying, I've never bought 100 of a single item so far. It's usually the first time you buy something, I'll usually buy 5 to 10, somewhere in that range. And then if I find out that it's a good seller, I might buy up to 20 or 30 at a time. So I try to buy a large variety of products instead of buying a lot of any individual one product, just to diversify risk.
So, see, I think that's super smart.
Yeah, that's really...
Now, but the issue I have is, there are these Amazon people online and they sell buy my handbook and I'll tell you what products to buy. But doesn't that defeat the whole purpose? Because then suddenly 100 people are selling the same thing and then no one makes a profit.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody came out with a complete handbook that enough people bought with exact items, those items most likely would go down to very close to zero margin.
Are you ever at these stores and see a retail arbitrager scanning?
It rarely happens. I have once or twice. I see somebody constantly scanning stuff and with a cart full. So it's happened. I didn't approach them that time, but I think I would if just to chat and see what they're doing.
And does anyone at the store ever stop you or bother you?
They don't usually say anything, really. They just kind of maybe look at you a little bit weird. Like if I'm a young guy walking through the store with a big cart full of toys or something, they might look at that a little weird. But no, they don't usually bother you. They want to sell stuff, so.
Yeah, I guess ultimately they don't care since as long as someone's buying it. I guess the only thing I've heard on the YouTube chats where people talk is that stores will get angry when a retail arbitrager will buy a bunch of stuff, try and sell it, realize they aren't going to make its profit, and then bring back and return a cartload of stuff. That would probably make them angry. Yeah,
that would probably make them quite angry, and I don't do that. So if something I buy doesn't sell, that's my problem.
Yep.
That's the way I handle it.
So when you buy this inventory, how do you then list it? What's its process of unpacking the car and bringing it inside? I
bring it from the car generally into, it's kind of like a dining room area where I will, and then it usually sits for a day or two, honestly.
Right,
but
sure.
Then I will remove any clearance stickers, that kind of thing from it, and then I will list it for sale on Amazon. I'm currently using a program called Inventory Lab to help me keep track of my numbers, but you can list it directly for sale on Amazon, and then you basically tell them that you want to send it to their warehouses and utilize the FBA program for the items that you do, and then they will tell you basically where to send those items. That's a quick overview.
And then do you have to put your own UPC scanner label on each item?
You do, or I do at least. There's a way to have Amazon do it for you for a 20-cent fee per item, and then there's a another option where your stuff. So if you sell a copy of Monopoly, it goes into a pile of 100 other Monopolies, and the end customer may or may not get your end one, and that's called commingled inventory. And I don't currently use that service, so I do label everything.
So why do you have to put another barcode on it? I mean, don't these items already have a barcode on it?
Yeah, so they do have a barcode. I guess I don't have a great answer for you, but except that Amazon says so. It's new barcode that you print out it's called an ASIN, Amazon Stock Information Number. So it puts that on instead of the barcode.
And then do you do the bundles where you're trying to get it to where a bundle's like whatever, $35 or $15 or whatever it is?
So technically there's called a bundle and a multi-pack. So a multi-pack is selling two or more of an identical item. A bundle is separate, or say it would be, I don't know, it's two unique or two different items. So maybe a shampoo and a conditioner together. So I haven't got into bundles too much yet, but I do try to do multi-packs to drive up the selling price and hopefully create a little bit more profit.
Yeah, I guess the things I've read, like, isn't the point you're trying to get that its price point to where it hits the free shipping, or for the Amazon Prime people? I don't quite understand it, but
yeah. If it gets to $35, then it's free shipping for any customer.
That's right.
That's a pretty good benefit.
So then you ship it all off, and then that's what the a miracle happens, right? Where then you're just at home and people are buying, and you're just like, it's clicking on your computer to approve things, and is that
pretty much? And you actually don't even have to approve anything. So once it's shipped away, Amazon will basically check it into their warehouses, and they send you an email when it gets checked in, when they're going through it, and then when they've finished checking it into their warehouses, the items are for sale and available for purchase by customers. And then when an item sells, you just get an email. Well, it'll basically show up in an orders section of your Amazon seller account, and then Amazon will send you an email when it sells and pay you at that time. So you literally don't have to approve anything. They just ship it out and pay you.
I mean, have people been doing this for a long time on Amazon? I mean, or because it seems like maybe I'm just figuring out people are doing this, but has it been going on for 5-10 years?
I think the FBA program is new within the past 5 years, I would say. I don't know an exact timeline of when it's been around.
Because it seems like, and maybe it's because of all those TV shows and people buying storage lockers and all that, people are it's becoming more mainstream, I guess.
I think so. Yeah, and there's more people doing it, so more people hear about it, and then more people try it out.
Someone hears about this, and they're like, wow, this is amazing. I'm just going to make its money. It's so easy. It's great. So how much money do you think someone has to put up front, like a startup cost? Well, like it's your startup cost? A couple thousand?
Yeah, when I started full time, I probably put $3,000 to $5,000 into inventory right away. But that was because I wanted to go from making about $1,000 a month to enough to basically sustain myself. So if you just wanted to get started, I would say you could and if you're sourcing at thrift stores, and you can do used items through FBA as well, so you could get started pretty cheaply that way. I would say minimum probably $100 to really get going. You'd probably have to spend $500 to $1,000, and it just all really depends on the pace you want to start. But you definitely could start this with $100.
Absolutely. Now we've looked, so on Amazon, I know you can sell like old books. And we've kind of played around. It's with that, but I mean, do you actually sell like a vintage stuff on Amazon, or just older, new stuff, like a used new stuff, contemporary items?
Yeah, it's probably more option 2 there. If it's a completely unique item that there's only going to be one of, it's unlikely that it would be a good fit for Amazon. I mean, you can create a listing, but
right.
It's got to be something that would have had a barcode basically at one point, and something that would have showed up at I'd just say like a standard big box retailer.
Right. Yeah. It seems like eBay still has a corner on its market, and that's like just the anything goes weird item in any shape.
Could be anything.
Yeah, as long as it's properly described. The thing I hear about arbitrage is that people are floating a lot of their debt on credit cards. I mean, is that seem to be the common theme among people that you read about or hear from?
I think some people are doing that, and I think a lot more people are in fourth quarter around Christmas time. a lot of people will take out loans then to try to sell a bunch around Christmas. For me personally, I guess I'm paying for it with credit cards, but I have the cash in the bank always. So I'm never buying more than I have cash available. That's the only way I'm comfortable with currently. Yeah, I wouldn't advise just charging a bunch of stuff on your credit card and then see if it sells.
Right.
Yeah. You know, the fact that it's your blog, you're so detailed as far as your money coming in and out, that's so important to me. We do that too. And we encourage anyone that listens to us to do that, because if you don't know the money in and out, I can see people getting caught. I guess that's it's question. Did you ever get caught with inventory that won't sell, or where a price has changed, where there's not a profit anymore?
Yeah, it absolutely happens. I've lost, I think last month I sold 25 products either at break even or a loss. So they're not huge losses, but it's not good. There's definitely a risk involved.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, I'm not trying to, I think I come across sometimes as being hostile towards Amazon, and I'm not. I'm just always skeptical towards anything I don't understand. And then I understand it. I mean, eBay is that way too. I mean, I might buy something for a couple bucks and it turns out it's not something that's going to sell well. With Amazon, the way I hear it is that people are buying in bulk, that's when you can kind of get caught in a bad spot if you've bought 20 or 100 of something, Right.
And that has happened to me, especially on clearance from, Target's a good example because they have clearance. Their clearance deals tend to be the same throughout their stores. Right. And then there's thousands of, I don't know, I think there's thousands of Targets throughout the U.S.
Sure.
So tons of people can find that same item, and then before you know it, the price is really in the basement.
Right. How volatile are prices on Amazon? I mean, is it something that you have to keep an eye on day by day?
They change pretty often. So I check on my prices probably 2 to 3 times per week, and then I go through and adjust if needed. Something
that I think is incredible, and we've talked about a lot, is the people that buy on Amazon and sell on eBay. I mean, have you thought about that or known people that do that? Yeah, I have heard of it, and I do know about it. It's not for me, I don't think, but yeah, it's so amazing when I hear people do that, because I mean that's just like super ultra capitalism. It's like amazing, Yeah, it's pretty crazy. What is your average profit margin on an Amazon product? Sure. So I guess the usual goal for when I'm sourcing a product is to get at least a 50% return on my investment. So if I spend 10 after selling it and all fees and shipping costs, I want to make at least $5. So when I was starting, a few months ago, I would say I wanted a 100% return, but I found that lowering it to 50, I can find some things that sell really quickly and that I can sell a fairly large quantity of, so it's worth lowering the return. I noticed too, though, you do sell on eBay or have sold on eBay, so you do understand that concept. And I read like a couple months ago, you made quite a bit on eBay off of just 22 its products. I think you made. And your profit was insane. Like, you made like $100 an item or something? Yeah, that's true. That's my return for Amazon. On eBay, I'm looking to make quite a bit more per item because it takes me a little bit more time to list, and then I have to actually physically store the product and then ship it when it sells. So I'm putting my higher dollar stuff, some of my higher dollar stuff on eBay. I guess that's its question is, because we have incredible returns on eBay. It does take more time, but buying things for $1 or $2 and selling them for 30, 40, $50+. So, I mean, do the numbers work for you on Amazon? I mean, its return doesn't really seem that much. Like, if you're only making $5 an item and I sell 20 items, I mean, that's $100. I mean, I could make $100 on 3 items on eBay. Yeah, I guess it kind of comes down to personal preference, I think. Yep. If you're only going to sell 20 items, eBay is probably a better route based on, I don't know, selling them for a higher price, buying them for a lower price. Yeah, I mean, making selling 20 items for $5 profit, $100 a month really extra doesn't seem to make a big difference. But. Right. I think it was last month. It was incredible on Amazon. You sold, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like $7,500 worth of stuff, or it was more than that. It was like actual sales that the total that customers would have paid was right around 20,000. That's right, 20,000. Wow. So how many items had that been? That was 718 items.
Wow.
Holy moly.
That's a lot. That's all through FBA though, right?
That's probably 95% FBA, yeah.
So then out of that 20,000, your inventory costs were what? I mean, like how much did you have to float for the inventory?
It's usually around a third of that would be my actual inventory costs.
So about $6,500 or $7,000.
Yeah, in that ballpark.
I mean, that's just incredible. And like on a good month, we'll sell like 300 items. I mean, that's like a really good month. But I mean, that's a lot of items.
Yeah, it is a lot of items.
In your mind, what is your goal you're trying to get to? I mean, are you trying to, I mean, how many items can you handle? Because, I mean, we definitely have a limit to how much we can list and store. So how about you? Is there a limit?
Yeah, I would say there is a limit. I don't think I've found it yet.
Yep.
It's kind of hard to say since I've only been doing this full time for about 6 months now, but
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Even if you aren't storing and shipping it to customers, you have to ship all those items to Amazon. That seems like that would be quite a lot of work in itself.
Yeah, it is pretty time consuming but the beauty of it is once you ship it off, then you're basically done with it.
Right.
So it frees up the time in that respect. So I would say, depending on what type of items you have, if you're doing purely retail arbitrage, you could probably ship out, and you have the funds available, I would guess you could ship out 500 to 700 items per week if you're really going hard.
Right.
Wow.
And now, is your goal to, buy 10 of these things, and then if they sell quickly, to find that same item again? Or are you always having to find its clearance items?
Yeah. So my goal is to find the same item over and over and sell it again and again. But that doesn't always happen, or I don't have enough of those items yet to make that worthwhile. So I'm going to be starting to look into wholesale and some other sources like that to buy.
Because with the retail arbitrage, and I've seen there was one guy seems to have a big following on his YouTube, and he was talking about this.
Picking profits.
Picking
That's
profits,
who it is.
yeah. He was saying that retail arbitrage could run into a wall because these big outlet stores are catching on, and instead of them dumping their items for cheap, that they'll just start to sell them online. I mean, does that make sense, or are you seeing any of that?
There's some validity to that argument, and it's definitely possible that these stores could do it. I think it's just not their core business, though.
Right.
They want stuff, I don't know, they want to clearance stuff for a reason. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't say that retail arbitrage is going to last forever.
Right.
But I'm going to ride the wave while it lasts.
Yeah, no, that's I just like that people are thinking through these things. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, just do that, and then. So I guess the idea would be you'd find a wholesaler, so then you'd have an unlimited amount of items that you could just keep ordering.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be the goal, or that is currently one of my goals.
Yeah, I follow a guy, and it seems like that's what he does. He buys off of Alibaba over in China.
Okay.
Just right from a Chinese manufacturer. And what he even does is he's got this trick where he'll do these deals with individual manufacturers where he'll get them to put a label on it. So it's the same item everybody else sells, but it puts a custom label on it. So then he says he owns its product on Amazon, and no one can compete with him. Seems smart.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's when it's really taking the online sales to a much different level than just going to a thrift store and scrounging around for some junk to sell.
Right.
Yeah.
When you are buying things from places like Target, I mean, the competition must really be fierce. I mean, if someone does a YouTube video and they say they bought this item at Target and sold it, I mean, it would seem like that would immediately bring the price down because 10 other people are selling that.
It can be. Yeah, if it's shared in the right or to enough people and these people actually take action, it's possible for the prices to decrease.
Right.
It kind of depends on how readily available the item is.
Okay, now how about storing your inventory? Is everything sent to the Amazon its warehouses? Or are you storing it at home as well?
I try to send as much as possible to the Amazon warehouses. I have a basement in my house, and quite a bit of it's pretty full with stuff for eBay, and then there are some things on Amazon that I ship myself. So I'm storing quite a bit at my house, and it's just in the basement.
Now, are you trying to be purely FBA? I mean, is that the goal, or?
It would be nice. I don't think I'm going to try to do purely that. I'd like to stay at least a little bit diversified and keep eBay in the mix, because there's some good I do sell some clothing as well, so I do that on eBay, and eBay, I like eBay. It's fun.
Yeah.
We think so.
A lot of people we talk to who do eBay, they're older, like they've either worked before and either they got laid off or like they got burnt out. I mean,
or they're retired. Yeah.
So we don't, or at least we personally don't speak to a lot of people who are younger that sell on eBay. So it's cool talking to you a younger. How do your friends feel about selling online, and how does your family feel about it?
Yeah, it's I find that it falls into one of two extremes. They either think I'm very highly motivated and just am working all the time,
Yep.
or that I'm very lazy and I'm just kind of being a bum and this money is magically appearing. So it's kind of some people think it's really cool that, I don't know, kind of creating your own income, and then others are, I don't know, maybe are a little skeptical and think it's kind of a short-term play, not going to last forever.
Yep.
So it's, people kind of fall into one of the two extremes, I find.
Yeah, I mean, we find that a lot of people just don't understand it. Like, they don't really understand that you can make a full-time living doing this.
Like, when we tell people that we sell stuff online, they think it's like a fun little hobby,
Yeah, a lot of people assume that too. And I've been starting to talk to accountants and stuff too, and they don't they don't grasp that people can make a substantial amount of money online.
I know, they look at your numbers and they're like, wait, what did you say? You just sell on eBay and Amazon? It's really funny.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good and a bad thing that the perception is this way. Probably more of a good thing, because I can deal with what people think.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we don't care. I mean, we honestly don't tell people without it being pertinent to a conversation, just because most people just don't care. They just say, whatever. But how did your parents feel, since you had gone to school, I guess, and you had a job starting, a career, and now you've kind of quit that?
No, I don't think they were upset. I probably was talking about quitting, and I even said I was planning on selling on eBay full time. So I've been kind of joking about it, at least for probably close to a year before I actually quit my job. So I don't think anybody was too shocked when I did it, and they're supportive now, and it's easier for people to get behind it now that there's actual money coming in too. It's not like I'm begging them for Mom, I need some money.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody's been really supportive so far.
Good.
You're like lending your parents money, basically, is what's going to happen.
Yeah. Something like that.
So let's talk about shipping. So most of the time, 90% of stuff is shipped by Amazon, but some of it is still shipped from home, right?
Yep, it is. Yeah, the stuff I ship into Amazon, I'm putting into to bigger boxes, and then I ship it via UPS, and then I have a UPS pickup come to my house. And then they take the stuff away. And then for the other orders, I package them up basically the exact same way I do for eBay, buy my shipping through Amazon, and then I will either, if they're UPS, they go out with the other UPS boxes. Otherwise, usually I just take them to the post office. Occasionally, I will schedule a pickup depending on what I have going on, and if I box them up early enough in the day. I have a scale. I have the Zebra 2844 thermal printer.
Yep.
I have just about every size of priority mail boxes and then random size boxes. So I have a pretty good setup for shipping my own products as well.
So here comes another one of my skeptical questions about Amazon.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, if you're selling 700 and something items on Amazon, I mean, how much customer service are you dealing with?
Almost none. So the beauty of it is that if you're a customer and you purchased an item from FBA and you want to return it, you just tell Amazon that. I guess the downside to that is that I lose complete control on FBA items if they get returned, but I don't have to manually approve or do anything. So I just looked at this morning, basically preparing for this question, but I've sent 5 messages to customers on Amazon in the past 30 days.
Wow, that's it.
And you know what? I read that blog post that you did, I don't know, a month ago or so, where you said you only had like a 2.5% return, on items, which is pretty incredible. Yeah,
and it's stayed right around that rate, and then. So even on the returns, most of the time you can still sell that item for something. Sometimes it will be brand new and the customer just decided they didn't want it and you can sell it as brand new. And other times it's happened where items got damaged in shipment and it's a complete loss, but it's stayed a pretty low percentage of orders, which has been really nice to see.
So on like 200, on 700 items, 2.5% would be what, about maybe 18 items? Does that sound about right?
Yep, that's right on.
Okay. And so when those get returned, do they get returned to your home, or they go back to the warehouse?
They go back directly to Amazon first, and then if they're sellable, Amazon will just put them right back into your inventory and let them be for sale. If there is a problem with it, then you have to get it sent back to you, and then that costs 50 cents per item, and then you will look through it and see if you can sell it still.
Now, so if I buy a $10 item from you and then I send it back, are you going to lose whatever, $4 on shipping and handling and stuff? Or how much of a loss is there?
I would have basically been paid roughly, after Amazon fees, I would have been charged the initial fees shipping it to you.
Right.
I would get charged a fee when you ship it back of, I think it's 50 cents.
Oh, okay.
And then I would pay another 50 cents to get it shipped back to me. And then I would have to either ship it back into Amazon, sell it again. So I'm not out a ton of money, but the fees do add up.
So it'd be about $4, right? I mean, is that a bit? It's what the fee would be? $6?
Yeah, probably the $4 to $6 range.
Got it. So if it's like 17 items, so it's like, $100 a month that you have to eat.
Yeah, and so that's assuming it's a $10 item. I've had like $75 items returned. And so those aren't fun, but I don't know. It's part of the deal.
Trust me. I mean, we right before we got on this call, we had a lady start it's returned on eBay. She bought a pair of shoes from us. She said that she didn't like them, and we basically just ate it. We were like, keep them.
We just didn't want them back.
And
it's always the worst.
And
but
that's just those are the things that as a seller, you just have to balance those things. Like, do I really want it back and pay the shipping, or just eat it? That's part of it.
Exactly. And sometimes it's not even worth the attention or worrying about it.
So what % of your inventory sits longer than 3 months? Like, did you have enough experience yet to kind of know what that might be? So
far it'd be a pretty low percentage. I would say probably right around 15% would sit that long. Right now, my strategy is to buy things that will sell quickly.
Right.
So I'm looking to get things that'll sell within 1 to 2 months. I have things that I've had for sale for over a year because I purchased them back when I was part-time, and they may or may not sell.
Right.
But yeah, the bulk of my inventory is fresh within the past couple months.
But isn't the whole thing with the Amazon warehouses, like if it sits for over 12 months, like special charges begin?
They do. Yep. So if it sits over 12 months, you're subject to what's called long-term storage fees, and then they charge you a certain amount per cubic foot that your item is taking up in their warehouses.
Right.
So it's a pretty good amount. So if you're going to get hit with those fees, it might even be worth having the item just sent back to you so you don't get charged the fees.
Or destroyed.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
We see. I really wonder. I feel like that'd be a great expose. Like, what actually happens to all those items?
I mean, do they really destroy
like,
that stuff?
Like, are workers going home with just like bags of like candy or?
Right. I have no idea. But it seems like it wouldn't make any sense to actually destroy them.
Right.
Or maybe they just have like a big incinerator. They're just throwing
they shred it up and
TVs
burn it
into it and like canned food. Yeah. I hear that selling food on Amazon is the big deal. Like that's a way to make some quick cash. But then there's always the game of trying to make sure expiration dates don't get too old, and Amazon has very strict rules on that. So is that like a dangerous equation? It's for you trying to figure out if the expiration date is soon enough or later enough to where you can have a couple of months of selling time? Yeah,
it's definitely a pretty big factor with grocery items. Well, it's kind of the key factor.
Right.
So grocery is kind of a hot category currently. It's not probably the easiest category to get into just because of some of these expiration dates.
Yeah.
And it's not quite as lucrative either, just because it's fairly, I don't know, in my opinion, it's a little bit more time intensive because you have to look at these expiration dates, print the expiration labels, and things like that. But as far as making sure things don't expire, they have to be, from the day they get to the Amazon warehouse, there has to be at least 90 days before the product expires.
Right.
And then while it's at the warehouse, it reaches 50 days to expiration, then you either have to have the item returned to you or destroyed.
Right. So really, when you send it, I guess you're just taking the gamble that they're going to sell pretty quickly, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And then you're kind of making an educated guess based on the sales rank of the item.
Yeah.
Is the kind of key there.
I think that's the other thing that, because I talked to this other a seller online who sells on FBA, and he sells like a cereal, and he'll sell like a box of cereal for like $15. And I'm like, who's buying this? He's like, it's like guys in Iraq and, people in the military that want, a Lucky Charms or something.
It's pretty crazy how much certain people will pay for certain items.
But you did a good blog post kind of explaining that. Like, why would people, why don't they just go down to the store and buy it? And I think you gave a good list of reasons. Just because sometimes people, their time is more valuable than hunting. And unlike us scavengers, we have nothing but time.
Right. Yep. People are in incredibly different positions in their lives and value their time a lot differently. So I'm happy that people pay ridiculous prices for certain items.
So let's talk about money and numbers. So if you have cash flow on if you break down it's month by month, and cash flow to me means that's the final number that is in your bank account, that's your cash that you can pay bills with. And so you're making, I guess, what was it, a month ago or so, you made about, $4,500 at the end of the day?
Yeah, so my net cash flow was about $4,300. My actual profit, though, based on the items that shipped, was about $5,800. And then the reason for the cash flow being lower than the profit is that I'm trying to continue to grow the business, so I continue to invest more in inventory.
Right.
So, yeah, but I guess moral of the story, my bank account was $4,300 higher as a result of last month.
I got to tell you, we've been selling on eBay for 5, 6, 8 years now. The fact that you were able to start from kind of just doing little part-time selling online to those kind of numbers is really incredible, in just 4 months.
Yeah, it feels pretty quick, but
yeah. I think if anyone is hearing this, because we get a lot of people who are like, I want to quit, it's my job. How do I get started? And we're like, oh boy, it's not not easy. And I think your blog kind of shows that it's a lot of organization, a lot of time, and a lot of work.
Right. Yeah, and I think people, I have only been doing this full time for 6 months, but the value of that part-time experience and kind of learning the ropes is sometimes, I think that's really lost on people, because I really have been selling online in some capacity for about 6 or 7 years.
Right.
I have a textbook related business too that utilizes the Fulfillment by Amazon program as well. So that I've been doing for the past 2 or 3 years as well. So there's some behind the scenes experience that it's hard to convey in these blog posts.
Yeah, and I actually was going to, it's mentioned that this is not like you're just some guy who's like, hey, I'm going to start to sell. I mean, you actually have a whole other business where I guess you and a friend buy and sell textbooks, right?
Pretty much. And then we have a website as well where students can purchase their textbooks from, and it's very seasonal, but it provided some additional comfort that I would have some income when I quit my job, so I wasn't 100% reliant on just what I blog about.
And I actually want to go back to a question I had about people like your peer group. You guys grew up online. Like I'm a little older than you, and we didn't have the internet like in high school, but you guys did. So you are much more comfortable. Is your peer group? I mean, did you see a lot of people thinking about this, like selling things online, starting online businesses, whether it be for a craft or whatever?
I think a lot of people think about it, but I don't think a lot of people really want to get in and put the work in and are willing to take that initiative. They just, the comfort of having your paycheck show up every 2 weeks or on the first and the 15th is just too much comfort for people to get over, and they just I think people are pretty risk averse or don't understand the possible benefits of going out on your own.
I know among people our age, there's a stigma, this idea of like, well, I need a career. I can't just be someone who sells things online. I need to be a accountant or a real estate agent or a computer programmer. Right.
Yeah, I don't know why. Well, I think society kind of just wants people to kind of trains you to want to fit into one of those molds, and I'm hoping to be kind of an example against that.
Yeah.
I mean, Like I always imagine the classic is movie scene where the guy picks up the girl to go out on a date and the father's like, so what do you do? And I can imagine the son, oh, I sell.
Selling groceries on Amazon. Yep. We sell
Yeah.
we sell old shoes on eBay.
Yeah, I bought my house with old shoes,
Yeah, I think online business might be the term that gets used there.
Yeah, I mean,
e-commerce.
I mean, we even tell people in our town, because we live in a little small town, we just say we build websites, we do online work, and that's all people really care about.
Yeah, they don't get it beyond that.
Yeah.
We're kind of rounding this out, but a couple more things. Taxes.
Okay.
You, I guess, haven't really... I guess you kind of did some of your taxes this past year, because there were a couple of months in 2013. How are you handling that?
Yeah, so I actually haven't done my taxes yet.
Okay.
But I have the numbers that I need. For this year, I'm going to plan on using basically a TurboTax type software to do those. I have an accounting background, so I have a decent grasp on taxes and that kind of thing. So for this year, I'm going to plan on doing them myself, and then probably for 2014, I'm going to look into getting an accountant to take care of that for me.
Yeah.
Now, it's first, why would you get an accountant if you're an accountant yourself?
Well, yeah, that's valid. So when you get an accounting degree, you learn a lot of general things, and my actual job was more related to audits as opposed to tax.
Got it.
So I wasn't really in the nitty-gritty details of personal tax returns. I would hire an accountant just to not have to deal with it.
Right.
Now we were the kind of online sellers where we do have another kind of job where we do computer work that is not selling online, and then we started to it's like you sell part-time just to make extra cash. And then suddenly one year, it was like in October, we realized we were making incredible amounts of money and we were going to have to pay crazy taxes. And that's when we realized about expenses. I mean, how are you dealing with like expensing everything, like all your inventory?
Yeah, so inventory, each time I go to a store and purchase something, I keep track of it in a spreadsheet, and then I keep the receipts I bought like 8.5 by 11 envelopes, and I do a different envelope for each month. The goal is going to be to have those electronically, but for now, that's my system for the most part.
Okay. So basically, you take the expense of, like, say you spend $150 on grocery items that you're going to sell. You take that $150 as an expense, right?
So I take it into the cash flow considerations, and then it actually gets expensed when the item sells.
Right.
Okay, so cost of goods.
Yeah, cost of goods sold, yeah.
That is very confusing.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess, but...
Well, I mean, I think for a lot of eBayers, eBay is often seen as just kind of like a yard sale, and I don't think eBay or PayPal tells the IRS until it's $20,000. So I bet a lot of people don't claim it. But if you start to sell a lot, though, that's when all that stuff kicks in. I just don't know if the IRS does very good understanding how online sellers buy and sell things,
Yeah, I don't really know if they do either.
Yeah.
And I hope not to find out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, you said you know about audits, so that's like a whole other podcast to do.
Yeah, I guess the audits I know about are more of like corporate type audits as opposed to individuals. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we always tell people just get an accountant. If we have a good accountant, we try and do everything as on the up and up as much as we know how. So it's all we feel we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's my plan as well.
So let's talk about your goals for 2014. Are you thinking one day you're going to hire somebody? I mean, how to talk about it?
A lot of the goals are sort of in financial terms, but the real goal is to kind of have a lifestyle that allows me to basically do what I want and when I want and just have freedom.
Yep.
But as far as like monetary goals for 2014, I said my goal was to make 100,000 profit for 2014, and then I also want to have a warehouse to kind of get some of this stuff and the processing out of my house. And I am hoping to hire an employee or two to kind of help with some of the packing and shipping and day-to-day things that kind of anybody could do if they wanted to.
Is your dream like not having to really be involved in day-to-day?
Well, I'm going to keep moving. I want to move in that direction.
Yep.
I don't know that I want to be completely not involved.
Right.
But I do want to at least get out of some of like the packing and the shipping the boxes, that kind of stuff. I enjoy the sourcing and going out into the stores. I think that's a lot of fun. So I don't really want to get out of that at the current time. But some of the more mundane tasks I could do without.
Now, we've talked about this with among other eBay sellers, and a listing is always the eBay bottleneck, getting stuff online. And so we've always talked about, hiring people. And one of the big things that I think is a roadblock as well, if you're to hire someone and then show them what is you do and teach them, then you basically show them how they can start their own business. Is that problem in Amazon as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest reasons that I haven't hired anybody so far, is that I don't have a system in place that I would feel comfortable with them not basically being able to just, I don't know, copy my process.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, he's buying a cereal and selling it. Shit, I can do this.
Right.
See ya.
Right. So, if and when an employee happens, I think some sort of non-disclosure or non-compete type agreement would have to be part of the deal. I mean, I wouldn't, if they want to sell on Amazon, fine, but they couldn't steal all my sources and the exact products that I'm selling. That would be a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that's always, because it is so easy.
Yeah, it's absolutely a concern.
People are always like, this is so easy. Everyone should do this. You can make so much. It's money. Is there anyone that shouldn't try this? I mean, is there a personality type? Is there, what are the risks that people should think about before they venture into this?
I don't encourage anyone not to try it, but I would say there definitely are some things to be aware of, including that you're not going to make money on everything you sell. There's going to be losses along the way. If you're utilizing the Fulfillment by Amazon program, you have to be aware of sales taxes and whether there's nexus is created in other states where your inventory is stored, and you have to file sales tax in multiple states. So you have to consider that. You have to probably get an accountant for doing your own taxes, that kind of thing. And then I would just also say that if you actually want to succeed, it's a lot of work. It may appear to be easy that you just box up your stuff, send it into Amazon. But if you don't put in the time, you're not going to succeed. And I guess the other big thing is people kind of see me say that I've been doing this for 6 months and have these big numbers already, but they don't see the 6-7 years of part-time, and they don't see the hours that I put in every week. If you really have to put in a lot of time to succeed. I would say anybody could do this, but you really have to want this and put in the time if you're going to do well with this.
Brian, I really want to thank you for being with us, and I encourage anyone listening, go check out your blog, onlinesellingexperiment.com. I know we're super impressed.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun, and hopefully people are able to learn something from this.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
See you, Ryan.
Bye.
All right, bye.